Hey, are you looking for a way to generate more leads? Excellent. Then join me as I chat with serial entrepreneur Clay Clark, who's launched 9 successful businesses, including a membership-based men's hairdressers called Elephant in the Room.
Yeah, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I am your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. That's exactly what we do around here, and I thank you immensely from the bottom of my heart for joining us. If you're new, well done. Don't be scared. If you're old to the show, I love the fact that you keep coming back. Hey, big show today. Serial entrepreneur, international speaker, and all-round crazy guy, Clay Clark. I've got to tell you, he's crazy. He explains how to generate quality leads using a very, very simple and elegant system. We cover a lot of ground before that, let me tell you. I help out a listener with some ideas on how to be remarkable in what he calls, get this, a serious, boring, and often upsetting industry. We'll change that. I've got some feedback from a listener who I cause to spend too much time on the side of the road. Yeah, my fault. And a motivational quote from the big fella himself, Michael Jordan. Yeah, big show, eh? And it's brought to you by the very good folk at Net Registry who get your online marketing sorted. You can check out their exclusive listener packages over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo, including an SEO booster package, which I think you're going to like because they're dropping the setup fee just for you, the listener. Yeah. And the show's brought to you by 99 Designs, the world's largest graphic design marketplace where designers from all around the world, everywhere, compete to give you a design you love, guaranteed. And you can get a free $99 upgrade over at 99designs.com/Timbo. Hey, it's just a freebie kind of fest on the Small Business Big Marketing Show. And as per usual, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
And by stuck in, let's just get straight into this serial entrepreneur fellow, Clay Clark. Great name. Good syntax in that name. Clay Clark. Yeah. And he's an interesting fellow, let me tell you. He started his first business called DJ Connection out of his college dorm room. He grew it to 4,000 events a year and sold it. And he became Entrepreneur of the Year at the ripe old age of 20. Hey? He did well from a very young age, did Clay. Now, he then later on went to launch 9 successful businesses in a variety of industries, and he now mentors millions on a website called Thrive15.com. We've had a couple of past guests from Thrive15. Pretty cool website, that one. Now, fun facts about Clay. You ready? He once ran for mayor and lost. He prefers to wear a white shirt, red tie and blue suit every day with a jersey underneath. What's a jersey? It's a jumper? Guernsey? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a jumper. That's a weird outfit. Probably looks good on him, though. He's a good-looking fella. He might also just be the palest man in America, he says, and he plans on living to 182 as a result of his wife's gluten-free, organic, non-GMO lifestyle. Woo! Gee, that sounds tasty. Now, I've got to tell you, team, this interview covers a lot of business and marketing ground, so stick with us. At one point, early on, I have trouble keeping up with Clay. Let me tell you, he moves fast, he thinks fast, but he does edge towards an idea that he wants to share that's very compelling about how to generate more leads in your business, and it's actually a ripper. So I started off by asking Clay, what's the scariest thing he's ever done in business?
Well, I think just starting the first business was the scariest. You know, there's always that fear of where you go, okay, theory is now meeting the tough road of reality here. And I think that just the idea of plunging into starting a business for the first time was very scary. And now it's not as scary, but, you know, it's almost like jumping off the high dive.
But you started that business, Clay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you were even 20, were you? So were you really scared? You were just a young bloke wanting to DJ at parties.
Well, I've been self-employed basically since I was 15 years old. And so I'm 34 now. I'm 35, actually. So it's kind of crazy for me to even think about it. But this is almost 20 years of self-employment, you know? And I just remember not being able to figure out, I knew I couldn't afford to participate in a certain sport and certain activities and afford certain clothes if as a kid, you know, because as a kid, you always want to have the nice clothes. You want to participate in all the sporting events. You want to do all that. And realizing the only way I'm going to do it is if I'm going to earn the money myself.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, you're buying all this equipment and people are like, are you even a DJ? Do people, do you even have any customers? I remember my aunts and uncles going, what are you going to fall back on? I mean, what if it doesn't work? And, you know, the more they ask, the more that fear grows. And yeah, it's scary. And especially growing up in poverty when you don't have any money and you're working construction and you're working in restaurants and you're doing all these odd jobs to make the little money you have, and you're spending all of it at a guitar center and a used car dealership to buy the first vehicle and all the first stuff, and you have no customers. It's scary.
I've got a 15, I have to think about this, 16-year-old son who's got a nice little job as a photographer at kids' parties on the weekends, and his boss is a 17-year-old young man who probably shares a lot of similar characteristics as you did back then. He's got a nice little photography business going, and Will, my son, said, yeah, Dad, it's going really well. In fact, Eric, he's the guy who owns the business, spent $1,000 on jumpers last weekend. Jumper for you, I don't know, what do you guys call them? Pullovers or whatever it is. But the same thing, mate, like spending money unnecessarily on things that he probably doesn't need.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing about business that I think is universal, and that's why I love, your podcast and podcasts that are very practically focused, because business it's a lot of hard work, and if you're playing the game of rugby, if you're playing the game of rugby, I mean, it is tough to score, but if you score, I think you should be able to celebrate a little bit. If you're playing American football, you score, I think you should be able to celebrate a little bit.
How many business owners don't celebrate the small wins, hey? Much less the big wins.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the analogy I always tell people. If I rented a car to travel from Oklahoma, the tourism capital of the world, to Disneyland, and once I got to Disneyland, if I said, kids, we have 5 kids, but I said, kids, we are now here and we will now not get out of the vehicle. And my kids go, why? And I said, because I love this vehicle so much. And they say, Dad, why do you like the vehicle? I go, well, this brand new Ford Business is such a great vehicle that I don't get out of it. And they go, what? I never get out. I don't want to enjoy. I mean, I'm not here to go to Disneyland. No. I just wanted to get in the vehicle and be stuck here. And that's how a lot of people run their business. Their business is a vehicle that they never get out of.
Yeah, and they get stuck in it and they get miserable. And that is certainly, it's actually a big part of the why I do this show for the last 7 years is because, I want to re-inspire businesses. And I guess it's for you too, is like re-inspire business owners from my point of view to fall back in love with their marketing so that they breathe oxygen into their business, so that their business starts to get a new lease on life and happy days, Absolutely. And it is invigorating and it's inspiring to see it. And having seen, I've coached not thousands, but I've as a speaker, I've spoken to thousands and thousands, but as a coach, I've directly coached hundreds of people attorneys and doctors and lawyers and plumbers and all these different industries who've literally been able to double and triple their companies within about 18 months just by implementing systems like what we're going to talk about today. Leads. Hey, before we do that, Clay, I am interested to know, you started 9 businesses, right? Is that right? 9 successful businesses.
There's more than 9, but I don't update my bio.
The old out-of-date bio.
Yeah, so I would say that it is true. I have 9 companies that I own, but that number is larger. So I start.
What's all that about?
Well,
what's the idea of?
I'm very good at growing companies. And so I'm not good at any discernible skill, but I'm good at building the systems and executing. So if you're a plumber and you're listening right now, or you're a dentist listening right now, or you're an optometrist, all of the people listening in these different industries, I probably either own a company or am a partner in a company in these industries. And it's crazy because once you understand how to build a scalable and duplicable process, it works for almost any industry.
Really?
And so I do the same. I do the same tricks for the plumbers I work with that I do with the orthodontist I work with, and it works. Same systems.
I get depressed when I speak to blokes like you because you make it sound so simple.
Well, it is if you're willing to fire those who you cannot inspire.
Oh, here we go. Here's the nasty clay.
Yeah, it's true. True talk.
Hey, tough talk.
Yeah.
So it is a lot about people, is it?
Yeah, what you do is you build these great. You have the 3 Ps, right? You can make this great product. You hopefully make a great profit, and then you have to have good people to do to execute it, whether it's a product or service, and to make the profit. I mean, if you have a great product or service, and you have a wonderful, profitable pro forma, it looks great on paper. But if you don't have the right people, you're not going to win. And that's why, if you look at great sports teams or you look at great businesses, you want to go ahead and set the standard. Steve Jobs says that most people are not used to an environment where excellence is expected. And you lay out you very clear, you clarify, and if someone isn't doing it, it's probably because they either don't know what to do or they're choosing not to do it. And if you find people are choosing not to do it, it's time to punt.
Tell me, just going back to the 9 businesses or 9+ businesses that you have started, are they which of the 9 or however many there are has been the most successful, and why?
Well,
and how do you define success?
Yeah, we'll get into it. I really like the elephant in the room right now. It's a business that I've helped start, and it's just phenomenal. It's called eitrlounge.com. And if you're wanting to get your hair cut, it's a men's grooming lounge, a high-end men's grooming lounge. So it's like a country club for hair. And the whole deal is that people are looking for an experience, like Starbucks for coffee. They're not looking just for coffee. They want a third place. And we created that for men's haircuts. And I love the business because it's exciting. I love walking in, the atmosphere, the vibe. It's all dudes. It's kind of rustic. It's that modern rustic decor, that whole feel. And it's very profitable. And it's very scalable.
Mate, I'm loving it. I need to find out more about this. So you speak so fast, by the way. So I'm sorry. Excuse me as I keep up. It's okay. That's okay. Like I'm a slow kind of fellow. Elephant in the Room.
Yeah.
Is the name of it.
Yeah.
It is a country club for hair, which I love that pitch. You've got me. I'm in. Right?
Yeah. It's great.
Is it a store? Is it a franchise?
We have 2 stores, and we're in the process of building an FDD, which is a franchise disclosure document. And one of the guys who's a partner, there's one partner named Jonathan Barnett, one's named Justin Moore, and there's myself. And John is a client I've worked with for years. In John's business, I mean, we've actually grown that to where he has 300 separate franchises of his company called OxyFresh.com. It's a carpet cleaning company, the world's greenest carpet cleaner. And so we just, once you understand these systems that we're teaching today, it's game changing and it's life changing, and you can you can just go into any industry and build a scalable and duplicable model, as long as on paper it's profitable on paper, and as long as you understand a product that people want, then you just have to find the great people, and that's the hardest part.
Tell me about the experience of me going into Elephant in the Room.
Oh, well, you walk in and you're surrounded by barnwood. It's this rustic, and it just smells like man candles. Like it's like pinyon wood kind of a vibe. And you're walking in, and 2 out of 3 dudes have beards, or they're kind of looking like they're going to grow a beard. They're maybe in between the beard phase, you know.
Hipsters.
And it's just and you go in, and then you have a grooming professional, and they give you a paraffin hand dip and a hot towel treatment, and they give you a straight razor shave, and you fell asleep like 4 times, and you're getting the shampoo. And it's a membership. So you have a recurring appointment at the same time. So for your business, as we know, you have set times that you do your interviews. And at this place, there's a set time for your haircut. So if you're a busy professional, you don't have to set an appointment and worry about, are they going to be ready for you? You just come in and then they know who you are. They take a photo of your haircut afterwards, so you get the same cut every time. It's just awesome.
I'm still at the paraffin hand wash.
Yes, you dip your hands in this paraffin hand dip, and you peel off the wax, and your wife, my incredible wife, she'll go, "Oh, wow, baby, your hands don't feel like a gorilla hand anymore. That's nice." And so then the benefits of our membership continue on that night.
Hello, member benefits. So,
benefits.
Where did that idea come from? Is it something that you were pitched? Did you have an epiphany?
Well, what happens is that there's people out there listening right now who have this big passion. This guy's passionate about hair. I'm not passionate about hair, but he's passionate about hair. Another lady's passionate about gourmet cookies I'm working with right now. And you go, you really care about gourmet cookies, really? And she's like, yes, this is my thing. I think about it all the time. If you're listening right now and you have something in your head and you're going, I just love plumbing. So these people know their niche. They just don't know how to build the systems. And so this person was referred to me, and the next thing you know, and that's how it happens. So for Justin, that's my Justin Moore for Elephant in the Room. He's actually my brother-in-law. And so everyone in town kept saying, you got to work with him. You got to work with him. You got to, and it's your own family. You're kind of like, I don't want to because that's my, but it's kind of that we've had that relationship. And so we teamed up with that. And then like the cookie business I work with, that was a lady referred to me by multiple former clients. And a lot of banks refer me. People want to come in and get a business loan and their idea is kind of crazy. And the bank goes, we're not ready to lend money on that yet because you don't have your stuff refined, but it's a great idea. Go see that.
Talk to Clay.
Yeah.
So you're looking for passion? Because passion, we talk a lot about passion on this show. It can be a bit like, a passionate person can be seen as someone bouncing off walls. Oh, like, I love this. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love hair. I love hair. But like, that's great. But how do you then go past passion and go, oh, hang on, actually, this person has got a valid business idea that I should get involved in?
Well, I think that as anyone listens to me today, one thing you should do is assume I'm wrong and then Google it to verify. That's probably the move. But there's two ways. If you're listening to this and you're a Judeo-Christian, I would say Proverbs 10:4, and it says, God blesses the hand of the diligent and punishes the slackard. That's in reference to if you don't sow seeds, they won't grow. That's the idea. Now, if you're not a Judeo-Christian, you're like, whatever, then Elon Musk, he says you just have to work 60 to 80 hours a week when you're starting. Because if I'm competing against you and you're working 40 hours a week and I'm working 60 or 80, then I'm going to beat you. Or if you're, back on the kind of that, maybe you're not a Judeo-Christian, but maybe you're kind of like in that whole, you believe in the Torah. You're like, I'm Jewish. I'm kind of, then you'll notice that God created the earth in 6 days and not 7. He could have made it in 5 or 4, but the principle is that he rested on the 7th, made it in 6. I would say this. I've never met a successful business person that doesn't work the equivalent of a 6-day work week until the business begins to thrive. If you're passionate or not, if you're not willing to work 60 hours a week, you probably need to go work for someone else. But if you're willing to do it, and I got to be real with you, I feel called to do this podcast tonight. I don't feel like I want to, but I feel called to because I've met so many people who've listened to these kinds of things and have had their life completely changed as a result of the great stuff that you provide and people like you, where it's they go, I listened to this podcast and that encounter changed my life. And so that's why I do it. Now, am I passionate about doing it? I wouldn't say that today I'm high on the passion scale. My super incredibly gorgeous wife, is trying to make some seared tuna tonight. I got the 5 kids, and I got a little, it'll just kind of bounce.
Yeah. No gorilla hands.
About that. No gorilla hands. I mean, I could, tonight could be a thing.
Yeah, I hear you.
But so I'm more passionate about that. Now, maybe a week ago, but passion comes and goes, but you have to feel like you're called or you're completely sold out to the idea of being diligent. And diligence means the constant application of effort, even when you don't feel like it.
Well, you're singing my tune, Clay, because specifically in regards to marketing, I think a lot of business owners look over it. And I think they see it as too hard, or they put it on someday island. They'll get to it someday, And
it's my favorite day of the week for non-entrepreneurs.
My favourite travel destination is someday island, but put it aside, do the hard yards, and start to enjoy it. That's as I say in my keynote, it's like I want marketing to be a hobby. That's what I wish for every business owner, so that you enjoy it. Time becomes less relevant. You're happy to throw some money at it. So
let me ask you this, Tim. I know I'm not supposed to ask the interviewer.
Yeah, love it.
But I want to ask you, what kind of currency do you tend to use right now? Are you using you use like euros or American cash, or do you use an Australian currency?
Australian dollar.
Okay, so you're not using like Bitcoin or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, I would just say with the stuff we're talking about today, if you're listening from America, I'm not sure the conversion rate right now, and I haven't been to Australia recently.
70 cents will buy you $1 Australian.
Okay. So I just would say this, that I believe what we're teaching today is worth, I've seen it, if people implement it, at least 100,000 American dollars to the person who implements this within the next 12 months, assuming they have a viable product.
Will implement what?
If they implement some of the things we'll talk about today, I believe they can. I'm just saying because I've seen it happen, and I just met a lady today. Kat Graham is her name. Her cookie company is called BarbieCookies.com.
Love it.
And she came into our office today, and she has tripled the size of her business this year from implementing these systems.
Now, Clay, I know you are itching to talk more about these systems, and you've got a brilliantly simple lead generation idea for us. But first, here's a word from a couple of businesses that can lighten your marketing load. Support for this show comes from 99 Designs, where dozens of designers compete to deliver a fast, affordable design you'll love. Speaking of love, their big cheese, Patrick Llewellyn, recently compared 99 Designs to a dating site.
We really think of contests almost like the dating paradigm. You go to a nightclub, it's noisy, there's a lot of people to meet, you get to meet a lot of people, and if you're lucky, at the end of that process, you might meet someone, right? And then you go on and have dates. And so a contest is kind of like that paradigm. You put up your proposal, lots of designers submit their ideas, and then you start to whittle down to a few of the ones that really resonate with you. And then ultimately you pick one of them. And once you've picked that one designer, the chances of you going on to work with that designer to get other things designed is actually very high.
99 Designs, where love is in the air. For a free $99 upgrade on your first design, visit 99designs.com/Timbo.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Support for this show comes from Net Registry. Recently, I was Skyping it up with Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, when the line deteriorated. She thought it may be because she had loads of browsers open. At which point I'm like, why so many browsers?
Well, because websites appear differently on different browsers. So if I run multiple, then I can get a sense of how our websites are tracking across different browsers and customers' websites.
Net Registry, where attention to detail rules. Visit netregistry.com.au/Timbo for a website that works on, well, all browsers. Righto, let's get back to serial entrepreneur Clay Clark. Now, Clay, you have a Dream 100 list to generate leads. Let's talk about it.
Well, what you're going to do is the Dream 100 system was originally developed by Chet Holmes, who is the author of a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And Chet Holmes was a business partner of Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. So this is a system that's been proven. Warren Buffett goes into any industry and dominates it, Geico or Coca-Cola or whatever. So the Dream 100 is step number one is you want to identify a list of 100 ideal and likely buyers that if they bought from you, if you could convince one of those 100 to buy from you, just one of them, it could forever change your life. So you need to start by making a list of 100 game-changing potential clients that if you got them to use you or refer you or endorse you, it would absolutely change your game. That's step one. You have to start there.
Are we going to go through 100 steps?
What we're going to do is we're going to go through kind of two steps, which are indicative of the 10. It's a 10-step process. So after you make your list of 100, the next step is what you want to do is you want to begin to think about what is the way that you will initially contact all 100 of these. So I suggest that you have like a handwritten letter introducing yourself to all 100. So you literally write the same letter to 100 people. And you mail them all the same week. So week one, you do that.
Is there a trick? Behold, week two. Is there a trick to that handwritten letter, do you think? Because getting your message right is kind of everything.
Yeah, it's a move. And you just say, hey, I might say, hey, Tim, I would really love to meet you. I feel like I have a win-win that could make us both hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I would love 10 minutes of your time. Signed, Clay Clark. And then in there, I would put a one sheet, which is it's a one-page, 8.5 by 11 document explaining the value proposition of my business.
Nice.
Then step two, I'm going to assume that only 3% of those 100 people even got my letter, okay? So step two, that's week two, I am going to email them all. And if I can't email them, I'll call them all. But step two, I contact them again, I call them all. Now, step 3, someone goes, are you kidding me? So week 1, you mailed them all. Step 2, now you've called them all. Step 3, what are you doing? Well, what happens is as you move through this process, as the Canadians would call it, around step 6, what's going to happen is you're going to get a call back from somebody. And I'm going to build your faith on this because we learn by hearing and by doing, what happens is you're marketing, and this lady, Kat Graham, who started Barbie Cookies, it's so cool. About week 4, week 5 for her, she has a gourmet cookie company. She gets a call back, and I'm just kind of role-playing the deal, but it's like a ring, and the guy's like, hello, yeah, this is such and such with auto dealer ship. You've sent me some stuff, some sample cookies. What do you want? I mean, that's usually the response you get, Tim.
Tough.
What do you want?
Yep.
And you got to be ready for it. And she says, well, I have a gourmet cookie company, and I think when anyone buys a nice brand new car, it should come with a box of gourmet cookies that you send them after they buy it. Like send them in the mail, or it's just a nice gift that'll generate word of mouth for you. And we can take care of all the shipping and handling. We do it all for you. I think it would change the game for you. And another example, there's a lady named Michelle Lewis. And if you Google her company, it's called Sweet Bottom Cookies. For some reason, I'm hungry, so I'm on this whole theme. What's the deal? But anyway, Sweet Bottom Cookies. And I'm these are specific examples for your specific listeners to help them. Then a company called Center Plate, which handles all the concessions for some of the biggest arenas in America, like professional football teams and baseball teams. The guy from Center Plate calls and goes, so what do you want? What do you do? She says, well, I would love to put my cookies in all of your stadiums and arenas. They'd be a great concession item. People would love them. They're unique because, you got to have your 30-second elevator pitch.
You've got to have 100. Because we're calling...
You got to be ready to go.
Yeah. And each one's got to be specific to whether it's the stadium guy or the car salesman or the real estate agent, whoever it is, yeah?
Yes, and that's why...
But it's not that complicated. It's like, I want you to give cookies to everyone who buys a house from you. I want you to put a bag of cookies in everyone who buys a new car. I want every VIP room in the stadium to offer cookies as people walk in. It's that kind of thing, yeah?
And here's my rule for pitching. Make it a clear win-win. Explain to them how you win and how they win, and support it by a fact. Well, what happens is the center. I literally went to a New England Patriots game. It was the Patriots versus the Redskins, and I know you have an international audience. So if you're listening right now and you're like, blah, 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 who cares? The point is, the Patriots are like the biggest football team in America, American football, and so I am going to. I'm taking my wife to a movie, right? And it's part of the Patriots complex. There's a movie theater there, huge theater, and I'm going through this, Tim, and guess what cookies are being sold at the massive stadium?
Barbie's Cookies.
This case, it was the Sweet Bottom cookies.
Sweet Bottom.
So I'm sorry. Yeah. So, and they're there. So I call Michelle and I go, Michelle, this lady I saw at a speaking event talking about this very system. And if you Google the Moultier News, you can verify this story, but it's Moultier News. And then just put in Sweet Bottom Cookies. You can read the story because it appeared in this local newspaper 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, she told the reporter, I met Clay Clark at a speaking event, and I've been implementing all the systems, and that's why I won this award. So she won this award for being the top entrepreneur in interstate. Now, 5 years later, the feeling is gone. The passion maybe has waned, but the diligence continues.
Yeah, right.
And I'm there taking my wife to a Patriots game, and there I am, and I see the cookies. I call her, and I say, I saw you at the Patriots. She's like, hey, I wasn't kidding. I've been doing this. I'm in all the stadiums.
Love it.
And I'm just going, yes. And that is what gets me fired up, because that's the kind of passion for marketing that you're teaching.
Love
and
it.
That's the stuff that's going to change the game and change the lives. Because we, regardless of our religious affiliation, we don't know if we're going to have one life. Maybe some people think they come back as a cow. Maybe someone thinks you get eternal life. But the point is, we need to seize this life with a sense of urgency. And so this year, I mean this, my dad had stage 4 cancer this year. He had stage 4 cancer, okay? He's got stage 4 cancer, and he had congestive heart failure. And I knew that I didn't regret a single thing about our relationship, because my business allows me to earn the money I need to spend time with him and do the things I'm passionate about. And that's the kind of marketing we need to do. Let's do some life-changing marketing on this podcast, because I know your listeners are different. Your listeners are doers, and this is what they need. They just need to unlock it and take some action. So get the book, Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, chapter 6, 7, and 8, and implement the heck out of the Dream 100 system because it works for Warren Buffett and it's going to work for you.
Mate, what can I say to that? One thing I want to finish with, Clay, because that is a great system you've shared. Systems by nature are process-driven. Some would say boring. If you're an emotional marketer like me, it's like, oh, geez, I'm going to have to crunch through and step by step all that. Have you got a tip for mindset around systems?
Yes.
Getting your head ready to actually do the hard yards.
Now, there's a thing called meta. The Greek word meta means above or beyond. And I have found, and this is what some people do. I used to DJ weddings, okay? So I know some guys who you'd say, all right, hey, Craig, you're going to be doing the toast here in just a minute. And they're like, let me get drunk first. And so the guy would go slam like 7 Molsons and then come back and he's like, hey, I'm ready to do the toast. Well, I find with marketing, like I don't want to do certain things. I don't want to mail 100 envelopes. You don't either. I mean, unless maybe you're listening to this and you're a real sick freak and you're like, I love licking envelopes and just sending stuff.
I don't mind licking stamps and stuff.
So what I do is you have to go to a meta state. A meta meaning above. You almost have to leave your body and go into a different zone. So what I did, I do it every day, and I did it this morning. I will turn on my Justin Timberlake Live from Rio DVD 2014. And so I'm just listening to, the Timberlake, and I'm just listening to it, and I'm not thinking about how much, oh my gosh, this is an arduous task. In this case, I'm doing a bunch of accounting, and I'm not going, oh, geez, this accounting's terrible. What I'm doing is I am literally enjoying myself. I know of another person who listens to, if you go to YouTube and you type in concentration meditation waves, they literally will listen to these waves. They're alpha waves. They're sound signals. So it kind of sounds like a, and they'll literally listen to this while they do their marketing or their accounting. I know somebody else who listens to rap songs. I know somebody else who has to do their marketing out in their backyard and have a beautiful backyard. And one of my favorites, he's one of our trainers on Thrive15.com. He's the guy who invented that international success called the spin class that had millions of people every day doing the spin class on the spin bike, the stationary bike. He literally built a backyard dojo in Southern California, and he works out of his dojo, so it doesn't feel like work. So what I'm saying is you need to adjust your environment.
Like it. And just going back to that Justin Timberlake 2014 DVD Rio, that's your go-to, is it?
That's that and then John Legend from the United Center. Yeah. He has got it's got an orchestral version, but something about Timberlake's deal, because he goes through, it's like almost a 2-hour concert, and he goes through some great stuff. He does some covers. He does the INXS, I need you tonight. He does all that. And
Don't wreck it for me.
Awesome. Dude, it's awesome.
I grew up with INXS. They are my go-to band.
Oh, his mix is sick. It's boom, boom.
Yeah, right. Hey, Clay, if you could be any rock star. Oh, actually, here you go. Finish with this. There's a room next door to where you are now. There's 100,000 people chanting Clay Clark. Clay Clark, we want you. You have got 3 minutes to sing one song and to rock that house. What's the song?
Love Will Lead You Back by Taylor Dane.
I don't know it, but I'll find it and finish on it, mate.
Is it? Love will lead you back. Someday I just know that. Love will lead you back in my arms. It's a terrible song from like the 80s or 90s. And for some reason, I can just nail it in a karaoke setting. For people come up to me and go, you're really good. And just in my range, it's the only song I can do.
Clay, thanks.
Yeah.
OMG. I'm exhausted. You still with us? He shared some gold though, hey? Did Clay Clark of Thrive15.com. Hit him up on Twitter. His Twitter handle is @TheClayClark. Now, I want to share my top 3 learnings with you from that interview. There were probably a lot more, but I'm going to share my top 3. And these are brought to you by the good folk. You guessed it, 99 Designs. Head over, 99designs.com/Timbo for a free $99 upgrade to your next design brief. Why wouldn't you take that up? And Net Registry. Head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo for 3 exclusive online marketing packages. Learning number 1, identify your top 100 ideal buyers and begin targeting them. It's a pretty cool idea, I thought Clay shared. And you can grab a free copy of that book he mentioned, The Ultimate Sales Machine, over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Do we just keep giving stuff away for free on this show? I'm loving it. I hope you're loving it. That would be a good book to read if you're going to implement that idea, I would suggest. Learning number 2, figure out how you can create a product or service that will enable you to charge a monthly membership fee. I'm liking that one. Who would have thought a men's hairdresser could do that, hey? In fact, who would have thought a men's hairdresser could be called the elephant in the room? That's great, isn't it? I want to visit it. I want the paraffin hand bath. Who wouldn't? Just don't want to go near fire once you've had that. Number 3, be generous. Now, after that interview finished, Clay asked me, unprompted by the way, how he could help me move my business forward, which I thought was a kind of cool and kind question. He said, where are the win-wins? That's what he asked. I said I wanted to exponentially grow my global audience, and now he's very kindly looking at how he can syndicate this show that you're listening to across an American radio network. He's well connected, is Clay. So what I'm suggesting is whether or not this happens, it's a great question that he asked, a very kind question. So maybe it's a question you could be asking others, and I'm going to ask you right now, how can I help you? What win-win can we work on together? Hey, if you think there is one, don't be shy. Email me, tim@smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Righto, got a listener question. Left as a review inside Apple iTunes. That's a good idea. It's from Mark Stippick. He says, Timbo's enthusiasm is infectious. 5 stars. Love 5 stars, Mark. He goes on to say, Timbo, love your show. Thanks, Mark. Well, love you. Sort of, like in a kind of bromance kind of way. And I totally dig your vibe. Hey, man. I'm digging yours, Mark. We should get down and boogie. Well, that sounds a bit naff, doesn't it? We'll move on. I don't know how you maintain the energy and the vibes, but keep it up. Mate, I don't know how I do sometimes either, but this is my time to shine. When I hit the record button, Mark, I'm on. Every other time, I'm just kind of like, I'm just slinking around. I'm a sloth. Mark goes on to say, personal favourite episodes. 262 with Rand Fishkin blew my little mind. Number 95, How to Write a Book with Andrew Griffiths, inspired me to start my own. Well done. Good stuff. Everyone should have a book. Tell him to come back and do another episode that will inspire me to finish my book. I might do that. Griff and I are always looking for topics to talk about on Funny Business. Mark says, I got a question. Well, more a request. I work in an industry that is pretty serious, boring to some, upsetting to others. I'm a business consultant specialising in workers' compensation. Yeah, that is boring. Mainly helping employers reduce their number of work cover claims and injuries and save them premium. I struggle to think of remarkable ways that I can show my clients some love that they will never, ever forget. It's a good question to ask. Great question, Mark. We should all be asking that. I feel like I can't get too light-hearted and funny because there is a lot of pain associated with a work cover problem. What are your thoughts, Timbo? Well, I think you can. You don't have to be funny. People mistake having to be, when they're doing their marketing copy or writing marketing stuff, they think they have to be funny all the time. They don't. Be engaging. If you happen to be entertaining along the way, great. But think about how can I engage my client? How can I get them interested in what I do? So, Mark, I've got some ideas on how you can be remarkable. 3, number 1, create a shareable customer experience. From the minute your customers first make contact with you to post doing business with you, what does that experience look like? What are the little magic moments along the way that could put a smile on their dial, that could make them go, hey, Mark, thanks, mate. That was great. If you want help with that, head over to episode 205 where I interview Joshua Nichols from Platinum Electricians. He spells out exactly how to do that. Idea number 2, Mark, randomly thank your customers. Send them a book that's of interest to them. Send them some gold-class movie tickets. Even do a little video on your smartphone thanking them for their business, for something. Surprise and delight. This doesn't have to be an expensive idea. You just got to get them going, that Mark guy, that work cover stuff, he's good. He cares. Idea number 3, Mark. Get something fun designed on Fiverr, fiverr.com. For a very small amount of money, you can get a birthday video done. You can even get a billboard thanking your clients that gets superimposed on a building in like Times Square or Piccadilly Circus. You could get a song written about your client and send it to them. That's all available on Fiverr. Mate, have some fun with it. You don't have to be necessarily light-hearted in a serious industry, but open your mind and be engaging. Hope that helped, Mark. Hey, thanks for your review on iTunes, by the way, buddy. And listeners, if you want to ask me a marketing question, well, maybe you don't, but go head over to iTunes, Apple iTunes, leave a listener review, and if you want to ask a marketing question, leave your website, and I'll give you a little bit of love.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Hey, speaking of love, I got some lovely feedback, also on iTunes, from young Jess. She calls herself New York Jess. I know who you are, Jess, from sawcollective.com. She says it's the only podcast that makes me pull my car over. 5 stars. I love it. I discovered Timbo's podcast in October 2014, and to be honest, it's my only go-to business podcast. I'd Googled how to build a tribe, and there it was, waiting for me. Having not listened to a podcast before, I delved in and haven't looked back. Good on you, Jess. I reckon there'd be a few who have delved in and have looked back. And God, I'm not going back there. No way. He's a nutter. He doesn't know. I got to find a serious podcast about marketing and business with no jokes in it. Back to Jess. If I had $1 for every business owner I've recommended Timbo's show to, I'd be a rich lady. Oh, Jess, you're already a rich lady because you're a lovely lady. Because I generally listen to it while I'm driving, and I find myself responding to Tim like he's a passenger in the seat next to me. Oh, I love it. If you're listening now, Jess, come out. Oh, look out. There's a dog on the road. I've had to pull my car over a few times to write something down. Good on you. Yeah. Don't want you to get any tickets. Just in case I forget the light bulb moment later on. It's helped me greatly in building my own business, growing my community, and thinking like there is no box when it comes to clever marketing ideas. Nice, Jess. Yeah, you're good at thinking outside the box. I've met Jess, listeners, and she wants to make a difference, and she is with the Saw Collective. She goes on to say it's like having your very own marketing coach on your team. Highly recommend any business owner wanting an edge on their marketing. Thanks, Timbo. Jess Jones, Saw Collective. Jess Jones, Clay Clark, getting some good names on this show, on this episode. I'm liking that. Love your work, Jess. Thank you.
Basketball Jones, I got a basketball.
Michael Jordan once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Righto, team. I think we should probably wrap that up and move on to create great marketing, to take action But there is plenty of marketing gold coming your way in the weeks and months ahead. I've got some brilliant marketing insights from a vet, a mortgage broker, and our old mate Griffo. He'll be joining us in the studio for another episode of Funny Business. Hey, if you need any marketing touch points designed, off you go. Where? That's it, 99designs.com/Timbo. Get a design you love, guaranteed. And be sure to use Net Registry if you need your website designed, developed, found. They've got exclusive listener packages over at netregistry.com.au/Timbo, including a $79 per month do-it-for-me website package. That's a ripper. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, please thank Daryl Misson for the amazing sounds that make up this show. Not that one, Daz. And the music bed is written, produced and sung by rockstar Lockie Dolly. If you want to surround yourself with other motivated business owners, then join the Small Business Big Marketing Forum over at crankmymarketing.com. $69 a month, hey? 30-day money back, no questions asked guaranteed, no risk. And if you need a speaker, timreid.com.au. I'm all yours. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. Always have been. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.